and welcome to English Literature with Susan. I'm recording this video on Easter Sunday, so the bunny is saying Happy Easter. Today I want to talk about Ozymandias by Percy Shelley. Ozymandias is a short poem. It's a sonnet actually. It's a Petrarchan sonnet made out of an octave and a sestet. If you're interested in the genre of sonnet and you want to have a definition of it, you can refer to my video on sonnet. So Ozymandias also, if you want to know about the background of the poem, was written as part of a composition. The composition was between Percy Bysshe Shelley and Horace Smith. Both of them wrote a sonnet about a passage written about Ozymandias. Ozymandias is actually, or that passage is actually referring to this bodiless, actually, let's say, statue. There is a face or a head and two feet, and nothing more than that, just in the desert. The passage was about Egypt, and therefore they say that Ozymandias was actually Ramses II, one of the kings of Egypt in the ancient times. So in this picture, we can see the colossal statue of Ramses II, the younger Memnon, on display in the British Museum. It is worth mentioning that the time Percy Shelley wrote the poem, he had no image of Ramses II or any Memnons actually. So the statue was transferred to London after the composition, the time of the composition of the poem. In this sonnet, Shelley, in the first part, in the octave, just mentions or reports the records he had heard about. I met a traveler from an antique land. Instead of saying that I have read it in a passage, he says, I met a traveler from an antique land, to give a poetic image to the idea of the poem, who said, two vast and trunkless legs of stone stand in the desert. Near them, on the sand, half-sunk, a shattered visage lies. Visage here means head, face, whose frown and wrinkled lip and sneer of cold command tell that a sculptor. No, you see, it doesn't have anything to say about the king himself. Tell that a sculptor felt those passions red, but she had survived. So it is not the king, but the artist that is important. And this is the most important theme of this poem. Shelley compares the working of an artist and the workings of a king in this poem. And of course, the conclusion is that the artist is the most successful one. And don't forget that Shelley had sharp political views and he was against the dominant regime in England at the time. So he's also making a comparison related to his own time, that I am the artist, I will survive the test of time, but not the king of England, stamped on these lifeless things. So it is what survives stamped on these lifeless things. The king is no more alive, but maybe the artist's task has a life of its own now. The hand that mocked them and the heart that fed. What remains is the power of the hand that mocked them. Here the hand refers to the hand of the artist, and the heart refers to the hand of the heart of the king. So the hand that mocked them, mocked those emotions, passions on the face of the king. Mock here has two meanings, double meanings actually. The first one is to imitate the hand that mocked them, the hand of the artist, and also mock them in terms of ridiculing the king. So he's imitating the command or what is apparent in the face of the king, but also he's not positive about them. And the heart that fed, the heart of the king that fed those emotions. And there is, here you can see one painting based on this poem, The Traveler looking at the Sin. And on the pedestal, on the lower part of the statue, these words appear. My name is Ozymandias, King of Kings. Look on my works, ye mighty, and despair. These are the words of the king, and these show the most ironical part of the poem, because nothing beside remains. Round the decay of the colossal wreck, the statue, boundless and bare. The lone and level sands stretch far away. So nothing from the workings of the king has remained, while the task of the artist is still surviving through the passage of time. So the mighty king is no more mighty. King, I'm king of kings. Look at my works, you mighty in despair. Look at what I've done, and then despair because if you see my power, you feel powerless. But there remains nothing from the power of Ozymandias. And also another painting in the Traveler. And now let us move to the technique used in this poem, which is called ekphrasis. Ekphrasis is just using the medium of the words or the medium of language to talk about another work of art. Let us be more specific in defining the term. A Greek for description, so it's describing, but it's not just a describing, it's a particular way of describing something. The use of detailed description of a work of visual art as a literary device. So here, a work of visual art, which was a statue, is the subject matter of the poem, and Percy Shelley talks about it. Or, to be more specific, a rhetorical device in which one medium of art tries to relate to another medium by defining and describing its essence and form. So it can happen not only about a statue, it can happen about a painting, a photo, or something. And one final point: the visual artwork referred to in a literary work can be either real or imagined. So it doesn't matter whether this statue really existed or not. What matters is that Percy Shelley has imagined it and as a statue and talked about it. So this was my explanation of this short poem by Percy Bysshe Shelley. Thank you for listening, and I hope I can see you in my next videos.